Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of CoinLogic TV, where we are looking logically at crypto assets. I am your host, The Logical Dude, your favorite van life living crypto investing digital nomad. I hope everybody's doing great today. I am blessed to have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Taskmaster4450, the top hiver on the Hive blockchain this week on Content Creators Week here on CoinLogic, where we're focusing on how to teach people how to use their brain to earn some crypto. So it's not all about computers and miners. You can come in and you can participate just using what you have up here. So you're the best one out there at that as far as on the Hive blockchain. So again, thank you, sir, for showing up. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the invite.
No problem,
Not too
man.
many people invite me anywhere, and quite frankly, I get tired of talking to John all the time.
We love John. We love John here. We did an
Yeah, John's
interview.
a good dude. He takes it all in style. Although he's upset at me, I made fun of Canadians.
Yeah.
I gave him a backhanded. I mean, I gave him a forehanded slap yesterday on the show, but I gave him a backhanded compliment because I said we were talking music, and I said, and the uniqueness of different musics and not fitting into a specific genre. And I said, probably the only thing that good thing to come out of Canada is probably one of the unique bands of all time because whenever you hear them, you don't mistake them for anybody else, and that's Rush. And I'm a big
Yeah.
Rush fan. They're just one group where you don't say you never hear somebody listen to a song and say, "Is that Rush?" and it be somebody else. It's like Rush is just distinctive, and
Yeah, Rush is
so
Rush for
anyway,
sure.
that's Canada's paramount moment, I guess.
I think that's like one of their biggest things. Like there was like a national article I think last year that they basically Rush was like the musical outreach for Canada or something like that.
Well, Geddy Lee is just an innovative genius, and I think Neil Peart was the best drummer of all time. I mean,
Yeah,
Neil Peart was just amazing, and the way he just experimented with percussion was incredible. And they're only a three piece, so I mean that's the other
yeah,
amazing thing. So
yeah. Unfortunately, I never got to see them live. That was definitely one band that I missed out on. I've seen hundreds of bands live, used to be in the industry and that kind of thing. Rush was never one that I got a chance to go and see. Unfortunately, is what it is
I
though.
bet they were great live, but they just have a great sound. And I remember when 2112 came out, 35 years ago as a high schooler or maybe even a middle schooler. It just blew me away the sound of that,
Yeah, yeah.
especially for that era. I mean, they didn't have the advanced digitization stuff that they had today.
No, and then but it having that advanced stuff kind of, makes a lot of people sound like little copycats, and that kind of thing. And
Yeah,
it's like, when you had that sound back then that was like, wow, what is that? It's just not the same today because we can make all kind of weird, crazy sounds with, computers and DAWs and stuff. So I know, you guys talked with Raven the other day on Cryptomaniacs,
hmm
so I've actually, we're going to be talking with her and her partner on that Hive video project, to partner up with our Block Tunes project. So we've been seeing all kind of different content creation and that kind of thing showing up here, in your
I
minds.
think I think musicians, and we talked. You're right. We talked with Raven.
Yeah,
I think musicians have a tremendous opportunity and can bring a huge niche. Not only from Raven, one thing she was talking about Hive is, it's not only her creativity with her music; it's allowed her to do other creative endeavors like NFTs, and there's that Instagram. I can never remember the damn name, but that Instagram type app that's now on Hive, and
like two, I think
really
is what it is. I
that's it. And one thing I told Raven because she says like she asked me how to get more followers, and this kind of leading into your show, and I said, listen, my suggestion would be maybe it's just because I like this type of stuff. But my suggestion is go to Leo Finance, post through Leo Finance because it's the largest tribe, community, whatever you want to say. but also I said focus your posts on the business side of music, on what you're doing and how you're incorporating different things with Hive into your business.
Yeah.
If you're going to post your creativity stuff, go to Peak D and just do that. But and post in the music groups and that type of thing. That's fine. But focus your business building on the business you're doing, so other musicians, so other people can learn about the business side, and how it's changing and how cryptocurrency, NFTs, Web 3.0. I mean, all these things that we throw out, DeFi, how it all can come into play as a artist. We'll just throw up that generic word as an artist, or not generic, an overriding word. How an artist can monetize their efforts. Because obviously the biggest problem for musicians and different types of artists is to get their stuff seen to the point where they have galleries and have shows, or their music gets on the radio, or they get a record contract or whatever. And that we know that's just a very, very slim amount of everybody
Yeah.
tries it. It's like how many people play baseball versus how many people play Major League Baseball. So it's very difficult, and the independent movement obviously has been going on for you know more than a decade. But I imagine, and she shared some stories. There's challenges with that, and it's the
Oh
same
yeah.
type of raping of the artist, obviously not literally, hopefully, but financially, they just get taken over and raked over the coals.
It's what it
And
is. Mm-hmm.
it's just the same thing with just a different slant. It's a different crook pillaging you than as opposed to the record labels years ago. Now it's some type of platform, and so I think this is something to drive home. And to stretch this out a little bit more, I think what you need to do as a content creator is really to find your niche.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you fit? What can you bring to the table that's interesting and different? And right now on Hive, on Leo Finance, in my opinion, I think Raven, somebody like that, would stand out talking about the business side of her business, of her music. Just like if somebody came in and started talking about the business side of baseball or the NFL or hockey, these games, these things that interest us, these things that we do as recreation and we do for entertainment, we're fans. It's not a business to us, but
Yeah.
there's the other side where it's business, people involved. And I think with a Leo Finance, I think that's a niche, and she could be a trailblazer, and people who follow that could be a trailblazer, because it's like you're basically writing a how-to book. Also, it's like, okay, this
Exactly.
is what I did, and this is what worked, this is what didn't work, this is what I was thinking. And so I think for everybody, it's finding your niche. For me, it all started back in 2017. I was on uh, for a couple months on Hive, and I just saw all the negativity, and I had enough background because of my, at that time, about 17 or 18 years of following technology and technological trends, that this was pretty powerful. And I'm like, you people are nuts. And, they were complaining about the price of the token and this. And, it's like the typical stuff. Everybody focuses on negative. And I'm like, do you realize the opportunity? So started writing about that and spinning uh, Hive, well, Steam at the time, in a positive light. And that kind of resonated with some people, evidently.
Yeah, it's just when you find that spot and you just kind of fit in there, it can blossom out. So that's kind of like, I guess, like you said, you spent a lot of time following technology, following trends and things like that. So that kind of, that's what you talk about a lot. You talk about a lot about those, more of the market trends and things like that, kind of the more macro outlooks and stuff. And that's one thing that got me following you too, was that, you put it out there, and you put it out there pretty simplistic for people to understand, which is, that's great,
Yeah,
because
that
there's
that
too much in this industry, and, God, no, I learned about crypto from, Andreas Antonopoulos, but dang, when you hear him talk, sometimes it's just like, huh? What is going on? And a lot of these guys, you're just kind of like, what's happening? you can break, and that, crypto's one thing, and if you're technologically savvy, you can understand that. But what's been my break into this industry is the whole economic side of things. It's like that was one thing that obviously we're not taught in schools and that kind of thing. So, and there's purpose behind that, and like, although
Well,
I
I
get it.
was. I went. I went to school for economics. Actually,
Well, there you
that's
go.
what I went to school for, and I guess somewhere along the line, late in my schooling career, I came to and woke up and, probably more accurately sobered up, but that's
Yeah.
another story.
Well,
And realized that, these people are just absolutely full of shit, this doctor whatever and this MBA whatever.
yeah.
I had enough background in business. I knew they were full of crap. So what I actually did is I took my econ hat after school and put it in the closet for 25 years.
Oh
And
wow.
then when I got involved in cryptocurrency, I started to, come across the crypto economic discussions and things people were talking about. And so I pulled the hat out and started dusting it off. And, I even though I put it away, I always followed what the Fed was doing. I was always investing. Followed banking and all that stuff and what was taking place. So I had a pretty good understanding of what was going on. I didn't have to, I wasn't starting from zero after 20 years or whatever it was,
Yeah.
25 years, uh, 92 to, yeah, about just shy of 25 years. So, what I was able to do was and you say from the macro level, well, that's what I was. I went to school for macroeconomics. So, my training, if you will, even though I didn't ever do anything in the industry, I never applied it. I actually went into sales and marketing. But it's always to look at things from that macro perspective and start
Yeah.
to look at the pillars you can put in place. So if you read some of my like macroeconomic stuff when I talk about China or I talk about what's going on, what can you count on? Well, the number one thing in macroeconomics is demographics. That doesn't change. Number two is geography because you're not going to take a country like China and move it. Number three is climate. Well, if it's a dry, arid climate, it's going to be a dry, arid climate. Number four is industry. Odds are, if you have no industry, you're not going to have it tomorrow. And if you have a lot of industry and diverse, you're not going to lose it tomorrow. So, you start building those pillars. And when I look at cryptocurrency, I had to look at the overriding, not only technological. I'm not technical, I'm technological. I don't bits and bytes because I get confused. But if you want to know what's happening with virtual reality, with renewable energy, with quantum computing, that's the stuff stay up on. And I can't tell you how a quantum computer works, but I can tell you some of the advancements they're making, and the pace that they're moving forward.
Well, you threw one
But
out there that's really in my brain is the alternative energies thing right now. I'm really following a lot of what's going on with, like solar and wind and hydroelectrical power and stuff like that. I live on solar, so, obviously in my lifestyle and that kind of thing. So, you got to learn that kind of stuff. My dream has always been to build a big solar and wind farm, and mine Bitcoin and grow food. That's all I want to do.
Actually, I would disagree with that because I mean they're going to have their niche. The problem is they're intermittent and also really anybody who's putting solar panels in Calgary is just brain dead. You look at the United States as an example. You go
Oh
down
yeah,
that west coast and you go right across the south. That's ideal for solar, and areas there are ideal for wind, like West Texas. Really, I think
Arizona, New
one of the big
Mexico.
winners is going to be, in my opinion, is geothermal
Yeah,
because we've made great advancements in drilling, and there's some projects out there that are very promising with geothermal where they can get deep enough very inexpensively and very quickly uh, to reach about 500 degrees. Now, you get to 500 degrees, you're making some very cheap energy because you're
yeah,
already in a gaseous state. So it really is some incredible stuff out there. Um, it's an industry that's early on and it's going to grow and grow and grow.
yeah,
And ultimately, like Elon Musk said, I mean, Elon Musk is rather misinterpreted. He's not saying get rid of fossil fuel tomorrow. He's saying at some point we're going to have to be on renewable energy, on sustainable energy, because we're not going to be able to use fossil fuels. It might be 100 years, but at some point, so why don't we start on it now?
yeah.
And that's a good point. And with the pollution and stuff like that, I mean, you go into these major cities and you can cut the air with a knife. So Anyway, I mean, that's just digressing, but that's how I look at things from the macroeconomic perspective. And so when I started to get into cryptocurrency and started to look at some of the macroeconomics there, and I kept boring down, boring down, boring down, boring down to the point of, okay, with, let's say, the financial system, although crypto, in my opinion, is so much bigger than financial, it's gaming,
Yeah,
it's everything.
it's everything.
Um, but when I started to bore down into the financial system, everybody's looking, well, a digital wallet is like replacing your bank account. And yes, that's true. And it's like, well, you can send money from point A to point B, and that takes out the 3-day wait and all this other stuff, and you can use Bitcoin for that. Yes, that's true. But that's just the tip of the iceberg of this global banking conglomerate that's out there. And,
Yeah,
when you start to, and this was the point of my article this morning, when we start to bore down into like collateralization, that's where it's at because now you're talking overnight lending markets, interbank lending that's three and a
yeah.
half, 4 trillion a night, and they need collateral for all of that, and it's just so these are the areas that I come from, and that's kind of the niche, a broad scale, but it's kind of a niche I fill because people don't have the technology, the economics, the banking, and the cryptocurrency to pull it all together, and I guess based upon the feedback I've gotten, I guess I do.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the kind of information that people need to hear a lot in this industry because, I mean, when I came in under some really, extreme circumstances. My situation is I was in the Florida Keys, giant hurricane comes
We,
through.
we talked. I
I'm no
I was
longer in
there
the
with
Florida
you.
Keys. So
Which hurricane got you? What year were you blown
that
out?
was Irma in 2017.
I was blown out in '98 with George. So
Oh man.
we both of us got blown out of the Keys.
Yeah, man.
We share that in common.
That island life was not for me. I used to joke with people when I worked for Apple. I was, they're like, "Oh yeah, oh that's cool. You live in the Keys." It's like, yeah, I'm closer to Cuba than I am Walmart. But
which island were you on? Were you in Key West?
I was on Marathon.
Oh, okay. You were Lepelon. I was
Yeah,
Ramrod, Big Pine area.
yeah,
So kind of
yeah.
between the two.
On the other
Just
side of
on
the
the other
bridge.
side of the bridge. Yep.
Yeah, on the other side of the bridge. But yeah, so like when I got chased out of there, and my sister's baby daddy decided he was going to try to scam the system and put a claim in on the house, and then my dad went and signed up down there physically. I signed up online. There was like 3 claims coming in on the house, so there was like all this crazy crap happened. I got nothing. They basically denied me, and I'm like, I'm the one that was living there. I'm the one that lost everything. So it was nuts. But yeah, I had Homeland Security going after the baby's daddy and all this kind of stuff. And here is how like my mind started to shift. So one, I got denied from FEMA and SBA for help. So I had to go, and I had no debt before this, and now I'm still swimming in it.
Hmm.
And because, and that's where it started, it just kind of snowballed from there. But yeah, I was in no debt before that. And when the Homeland Security guy was calling me about this case, and the like third time he called me at like 5 a.m. And I'm like, bro, we've already had this discussion. I'm on the West Coast. You're on the East Coast. Like, let's respect that time frame here. And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm down in St. Thomas right now." And I'm like, "On my tax dollar?" While this dude is in Alabama, I know where he is. I have people that have called me and it's like, "We know where he is." And I'm like, "Hold up." Kind of thing. Because government's after him too. But yeah, no, how are you going to be after him while you sitting down in St. Thomas on my tax dollar calling me at 5 a.m. in the morning and asking me the same dumb questions that you asked me the last time you called me and woke me up? I didn't hear from dude again. Period. Like, no more hearing from that agent. So that was when I started learning the whole system is a complete and utter joke. They have absolutely no care about you whatsoever. And then I started going down the rabbit hole of, the whole nomadic lifestyle. Because I bounced around from 3 states, for months. And that was like ridiculous. I didn't like couch surfing. I didn't, although I had a really good friend that, took me in. She was an ex-girlfriend. That got a little weird. And so, it was what it was. And I finally ended up out here in Oregon, where the rest of my family kind of migrated to. But like they had their own situations. But when I got out here is when I got into mining and learned about Bitcoin and learned that like this is the escape from the system, because like the system doesn't care about you at all. So I'm like done feeding them, and then started just going down the rabbit hole and learning how things worked, learning the difference between the proof of work, proof of stake, and all that. And then I found the old blockchain that is now Hive, and got involved actually with the We Cash group. That was like my first kind of like fall in. I'm a cannabis activist. That's why my family moved out here. My son and my ex have like a rare neurological disorder. They needed medical weed, and down in Florida, we were criminals for trying to get help, and which now I
But
think a
you're
lot
not
of that's,
anymore,
yeah,
actually.
a lot of that's changing. So, but I like the climate out here. It's kind of cool. I actually get 4 seasons out here now, and I get mountains. I get coast, mountains, valleys. I get hiking everywhere, so I kind of get a little bit of everything.
We get two, humid and not humid.
Yeah, exactly. Humid, not humid, rainy season, off season. What used to kill me down in Florida was when I used to serve tables, and during the summer was when all the Europeans would come over to South Florida. They'd all want to go sit on the patio, and what happens in South Florida during the summertime? It rains every day.
Storm rolls in.
Every day, and they're like, "Why is it raining so much?" It's like because you came during the wrong time of year. You know,
Yeah, because it's like 95 degrees with 98%
it's
humidity. That's when
God,
you get thunderclouds go rolling in. It's
it's gross.
all that moisture all day goes up into the atmosphere and forms as a cloud, and a thundercloud, and you get a storm.
Exactly. So that was my role into crypto, was just learning, throughout that whole situation of, that this is not for me. And then I started going down the whole financial rabbit hole and then the macro side of things, and I'm learning that even though we want to buck the system as much as humanly possible, the traditional system still dictates a lot of the movements of the crypto markets and that kind of thing, especially now that the institutions are rolling in. And I'm learning more and more now where the macro play is, the bigger play in the markets, and learning that I need to pay attention to that kind of stuff more. I've even added it, a whole macro section into the CoinLogic site, with different charts and things like that. But yeah, that's where I got into listening to you. And like you said, though, it's like everybody's got to find their niche. Me, I'm kind of all over the place, but that's me and my mindset. And I'm working
Easy to
out.
do.
It is easy to do. So, like, one thing that I kind of wanted to talk to you about is like, what does your day kind of look like? Because I'll see sometimes like 3 or 4 or 5 posts coming out of you, including videos and that kind of thing. So it's like, plus you say you spend a lot of time in the comment section. It's like, is this content creation like your 8 hour 9 to 5 kind of gig type of situation?
More like 8 to 9.
8 to 9,
8 a.m. to
yeah.
9 p.m.
That's me too. 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. kind of thing.
It, it, I'll phrase it in this way, and I think you will. In fact, I'm sure you'll understand.
Hmm.
It's my non-job. It's a job, but it's not a job.
Exactly.
It's
Hmm.
so. How does my day start? I roll out of bed, I put on the coffee, and I write a post. That's the first thing I do, and the first task I complete is a post. Uh, Around lunchtime or to mid-afternoon, I'll do a quick video, get it up there. As you see from my videos, I focus on the content. I don't really focus on the editing and making it pretty, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be a Nobel Prize winning performance or whatever, the Grammy winning, no, Grammy's music, whatever the Oscar winning performance. Um, it's just a very simple hit record, stop recording, and upload it. Then I'll do another video later in the afternoon, early evening, and then later in the evening I write a post. And yes, I spend a lot of time in comments, and people say, "Where do you get all your material from?" Believe it or not, I get a lot of the shit from comments because I'll
Yeah.
get into a certain post, a certain article, and if there's a lot of commenting and a lot of conversation going on, I might get 3 or 4 different ideas because
Yeah.
somebody will write a comment and I'll agree or I'll start expand on that idea or I'll disagree and I'll start writing. I'll say, you know what, delete all this crap. I'll just write a post about it instead of putting a six paragraph response in the comment section. I'll just write a post. Now I do put some comment in there to expand on my idea a little bit, but I don't go into full detail. So that's where you can get material from. I also do a lot of not only reading on Leo Finance. I do go through Coin Gecko, their news feed.
Well, I have to get you
I
going to
listen.
Coin Logic instead. Just play.
Yeah, I should. You're absolutely right.
It's all the same data. It's coming from CoinGecko.
Do you pull the same feed?
I pulled the same. Yeah, we got the same API for CoinGecko. I just split it up like on the front page. I've got like your top tens, and then your trendings, and then some charts, and then you can go into like if you want to see the full 100. I've got the market tab, and then you've got a news section that I've actually got AMB Crypto actually requested to come on the site, as well as our Bitcoin news, and then I've got Bitcoin.com and Decrypt feeding in there, and then some stuff from Leo Finance and that kind of thing, as well as my own post.
You're right.
Check it out.
I should go to CoinLogic. Absolutely. If you're feeding the same damn stuff in there, why do I want to give CoinGecko the clicks? I'd rather give them to you.
We'd greatly appreciate it. Every little bit helps.
You're right. So I just get, and a lot of times I'll just skim the headings.
Shameless plug.
Hey, so I had a conversation about this the other day with somebody in a comment section, and he goes, "If you'll allow me to shill for a second," I say, "You know what? It's only in crypto it's called shilling. Everywhere else it's called marketing."
Yep.
I said, "Well, why is it when we talk about our stuff in crypto it's like a negative, and it's like where everywhere else, I mean, it's like marketing.
It's marketing.
It's like,
yeah.
You want your customers talking about your stuff, and in crypto, it's like, oh well, you're shilling that coin, and
But
I know what it is.
It's
a lot of
the whole negative, like ICO stuff back in the day, shilling BitConnect and stuff like that. People got that negative name for shilling, and even like a lot of the big. Well, it's like a lot of these big YouTubers, like they're getting paid these astronomical amounts of money for from these different projects. I do know that there's some of the bigger ones. I know like Big Boy Crypto, he's like no more sponsored ads and no more sponsored spots and stuff because basically got called out and that kind of thing. I mean, and the rest of us, we got we gotta get it out there somehow. Gotta get our stuff out there one way or the other. So I'm building an entire platform. CoinLogic was actually something that I started for myself because I got tired of going to all these different sites. Like you're saying, you go to like this site and this site and this site. And I'm like, I wanted it all in one spot. So I built the site. I know how to build WordPress. That's the beautiful thing about WordPress is you can put together things that are already existing. And if you know a little bit of code, then you can make it look pretty and all this kind of stuff and make it function right. It's not that bad. And
that was for years.
That's where it started.
For years, I've used Reddit, not to post. I don't post on Reddit, but because I could go into the technologies group or the futurology group, and right there, I would get all the articles I needed for different things, and I'd come across a variety of articles about quantum computing, about renewable energy, about new chip experiments. You get stuff, everything from tech radar to physics, phys.org, which that gets into the scientific stuff, but it's like at least then I can kind of see what they're working on, even if I don't understand 90% of what the hell they're writing or talking about. At least I have a little bit of a frame of reference.
Yeah.
And so, I agree with you, and I understand that where it's like, let's just get all this in one place, and that's what Leo Finance I think could serve as. But
see, I didn't never think about using Leo because I don't like to tag spam, which we all know is a problem sometimes on Hive, especially with some of these other communities. So like I try to respect the Leo tag, if I'm not talking about investing, finance, and something like that, so I've avoided putting my music stuff out there as far as like the Blocktunes posts and stuff like that because it wasn't involved in it. But when you put that aspect out there that, if you write about the music business, then it is, that kind of frame.
Absolutely.
And so that's cool. I'll start putting that out there as well. And just thinking, because, I got a lot of different content now for the whole Blocktune side of things. So it's not just music production. I'm in the music business, when it comes to that. So we're actually doing a whole platform.
And also,
we got
your
some big crap
thinking,
coming.
I would presume, when you're putting this together, is how can these artists benefit? How can they be monetized? And so that's all stuff that would go into a Leo Finance article about this.
Yeah.
I mean, you could title it something like the next generation of independent music. I
Yep.
mean, or independent music earnings.
Because we've got DAOs, NFTs, and now I've got, because I'm using the EXXP plugin, which is really awesome because there's so many developers here on Hive that are creating all these little awesome tools for people, is that I am actually using this to tie in. So if an artist comes and they go on to Blocktunes, if they're a registered artist, they can actually post to Hive. From the site. So not only is Blocktunes building that SEO, but they can also post down, and we're actually partnering up with Beats Chain. I got a Twitter Spaces coming up on Friday with their founders, so we're partnering up with them for the music side of things. And but it's not a bad idea to start posting with the Leo Finance tag as well for the business purposes, and that kind of thing. I just don't want to, don't want a post tag. I like to respect,
Well,
the
and
tags.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're right, as a committed Leo Finance reader, I'm on there every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit, and sometimes I'll even get a little snarky and leave a comment. This has absolutely nothing to do with either business or investing
Yeah.
or finance or anything. Um, Sports does not belong on Leo Finance. What happened in the Laker game or in the last Real Madrid match does not belong there. Now,
You're talking about
the
betting, though.
earnings of Real Madrid, that's a different story. The labor situation with Major League Baseball and arguing over $50 billion, that's a different situation. Now you're dealing with the business side of things, and then you get into crypto sponsorships. I mean, now you're dealing with the business side of things and the crypto side of
Yeah.
things, and athletes who are accepting payment in crypto. Now you're starting to tie the stuff together, but what happened in a match or what happened in a game, and did you see the Lakers were screwed on that call at the end of the game or whatever? It's like that goes on Sports Talk Blog or on Yahoo or wherever, but
we get it on
doesn't-
Hive List. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I'm all the time like muting people on Hive List. Like, no, just stop.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It doesn't fit. So,
Yeah, it doesn't fit at all.
Really but I think when you start to look at taking traditional businesses, especially for independent content creators, and starting to put together how they can benefit and really take their earnings to another level. One of the things that I've obviously been on with John, but Listeners is really a fabulous tool for the Hive blockchain because
Yeah, it
now
really
you
is.
get the ability to take your post, send it out in an email, get a bunch of other people to read it. But in doing that, you have the potential to earn. So it's like in the old model, it was like, and I talked about this with Raven. In the old model, you were doing all this stuff to try to drive people to a certain place to buy something, and or at least to sign up for an email so you could blast them with emails and hope them to buy something. And that's how you made money. Is eventually they had to buy something, or if you were affiliate leaking, you got people to click through so they would pay, so the affiliate would pay you. But with this, it's like just taking the action is getting you rewarded.
Yeah.
So old content marketing was, well, you write the content to give yourself some expertise in this particular area. So when they go to your website, you're not a stranger to them. They have some familiarity. They know a little bit about what you're talking about. So they'll spend $49 on your training program or whatever. But now it's like you write up the article and you can get a few bucks just off the article.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, now you get paid in Listeners for sending out the email and doing the email marketing. And all of a sudden, if 20 people upvote you, you get like, 10, 15, 20, 30 listeners, whatever the hell you get. And it's like, okay, well, that has a certain monetary value.
Yeah.
Then you got DeFi in there because you take the listeners, you stake them, and then it does the old DeFi, you get an APR off it. So everything's changing, and I think that's the stuff that needs to be talked about, is how are these things changing. I talk about it from a macro level, I talk about it from the banking industry, from all this other stuff, but we need people out there talking about these different niches
Yeah.
that they are intimately knowledge about, whether it's entertainment and movie industry. I mean, I'd love to read articles about how tokenization of movie production is taking place.
Have
I
you
don't know if
seen
it
the
is,
Kevin?
but talk about
Dude, no. Have you seen the whole Kevin Smith thing? So Kevin Smith is actually getting ready to tokenize as NFTs on the Secret Network, which is on the in the Cosmos block ecosystem. So they're their own app specific. It's a privacy focused network. Quentin Tarantino did the same thing.
Yeah,
And
he did it with his script.
yeah,
Or
with the
something.
Pulp Fiction manuscript. But no, but Kevin Smith
Or
is.
actually, it was an image of the manuscript,
And Miramax went freaking berserk. But
nuts. Yeah,
yeah,
sued
but
him. And he
Kevin,
said, "Screw you! I'm doing it anyway. It's mine. So I'll see you in court. I don't
yeah.
care."
Well, I sat into the Twitter Spaces and listened to Kevin Smith the other day, and listened to him talk about what they're doing with Kilroy, and so basically they're going to be selling like ownership of the movie, like rights to the movie, to where you can actually take it and like do stuff with the movie, and amazing at what what we're doing out here. So it was like I went to the whole Tech Circus Web3 conference, and it's talk about social and NFTs, and I'm like, dude, we are so far ahead here right now on Hive. Like, if you are in this ecosystem, you're doing all right. We just got to be patient, and just kind of help push this new economy. When I came into this whole game, I came into it with that traditional mindset as well. Even when I started, Hive List, my whole idea behind that was like, okay, let's bring something that is known in the Web 2 world and put it on the blockchain, So I was thinking classifieds, because that was one thing that I was always looking at with Steam, was that there was really no like marketplace or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I could do something like that.
Well, and it is needed. I mean, it's
It
not
is,
like
yeah.
Web two is not. There's not applicable parts. We need commerce. I mean, we need stores
Yeah.
set up. We need people. I mean, don't get me wrong. We need people selling stuff, and we need people selling stuff for HBD.
Yeah, and the problem is people are so caught up in just the whole content creation part of things right now with Hive, is they don't see that, and it's like I've been trying to get people's mindset behind that, like, hey, come to the Hive List store and start your business here, and I even have an affiliate service. We just bumped up to a 10% commission rate so that I could actually bump up the affiliate commission rate to 5%. So, if people come and sign up as an affiliate on Hive List, you can come and do your affiliate marketing, promote our products, and get 5% of any sales and that kind of thing. One problem that, and a lot of people I think in this whole web world is seeing, is just the physical nature of things is getting harder and harder to come across and produce. So that's where I'm like, hey, people need to start learning how to produce their own things, get their own little machines to start producing their own shirts. Like, I rely heavily on services, with our print on demand stuff and that kind of thing, and that's can be a downfall, with business. Well, when you have, your own production and your own decentralized production, like 3D printers. Oh my God, dude, that's decentralized manufacturing at its finest. I think everybody needs a 3D printer. I'm trying to get my son into it. My best friend, when basically he got told right before January 2021 that he was going to be losing his job. He actually got told like 2 months before that, kind of thing. It was when that, like, they couldn't fire people for a while or whatever until a certain time.
Yeah.
So he knew it was happening. So he got them to pay for his FAA 107 drone license. got licensed, commercially for his drone, got them to pay for it, and they basically funded his, 3D printing venture, and now he's doing 3D printed drone parts. He's got 10 machines running all at one time, kind of thing. He goes out flying with his buddies, and when they break stuff, he's like, hey, you need a new propeller, you need a new this, you need to do that, and started his business. I tried to get him on Hive, but trying to get people into that, that new Web3 mindset's a whole different beast too. So, but just getting people into the mindset to, produce your own goods, that kind of thing. Because not only does your money need to be centralized, our entire economy needs to be decentralized because we're seeing all these problems out there. And as you got into talking about the whole, alternative energies thing, I'm with one of my sponsors. Basically, I'm working with this group called Carbon Zero. They're a Cosmos validator node company, and so we're running for 5 different chains, and we're taking like 10% of our funds and putting them into like eco-friendly projects like ecology, which is planting trees in different places, trying to offset carbon emissions and that kind of thing. Um, like, what in your mind is some ways, because especially we got all this talk with the whole, mining situation. We got Europe wanting to try to ban mining because of energy use and stuff like that. It's like, how can crypto actually, in your mind, help the ecosystem, like the actual planet, other than just giving our money? What are some ways that we can, use our resources to help better things?
Well, I think, when you start to look at, I'm not a big environmental person
Yeah,
to begin with. I mean, obviously, I don't like pollution. I don't like corporations that pollute.
yeah.
Obviously,
I just like producing my own power and stuff. That's like my thing.
yeah, obviously, our air, our land, our water. I mean, we've basically destroyed all that.
Yeah,
You go into, as I said, these major cities, and you can cut the air with a knife in some of them. Um, so we have a lot of issues, with environmentally in that regard. You have a lot of issues with um, social issues, like you were just alluding to, decentralizing the money, decentralizing manufacturing. And I know those sound like financial and business issues, but they're actually social issues. Uh, you know, Food production, I've followed for years, and not in depth, but climate control farming. The key is, can we get the production of whatever
yeah,
as local as we can? Because that's what we've lost. And so, how can crypto help this? Well, right now, crypto is kind of backed into a corner because we're so small. And so, we just have to keep getting more tokens out there, more projects tokenizing, and the value of the tokens that are out there need to keep going up in value, because then we can become a major player, and we can do some of what I've talked about the last 6 months, start to develop stuff that's pristine collateral, start to get into lending platforms, start to get into all of that stuff.
yeah,
Because at a certain point in time, we got to get away from the casino, which there's nothing wrong with the casino. There's nothing wrong. I mean, first off, crypto was always speculation. Now we're starting to get into the fixed income market with, HBD and the 20% savings. And this is very important because that attracts a different type of investor.
yeah,
But at a certain point in time, we got to get away from the casino and start taking these resources, these funds, and go out and start funding, whether it's cancer research, whether it's Alzheimer's, whether it's longevity, whether it's renewable energy. Start to use these resources to either invest in enterprises, like you were saying, like a Kevin Smith movie. Okay, I know that's not a major social or ecological problem, but there is an opportunity. I mean, it's not going to be with Kevin Smith's project because I'm sure it's a security, and he'll have to do everything on the up and up, according so the SEC doesn't come knocking on his door. But if we can do that in a decentralized manner, and I can go and I can throw $100, $1,000, $10, and own a piece of this movie. I mean, first off, that's cool as shit.
yeah. Right.
Second off, that's called diversifying, because if I can do it with Kevin Smith's movie, then I can do it with 100 different movies. And yeah, a lot of them I might lose money. They may be bombs. But at least then I might have a chance of sharing in the wealth creation in the movie industry. I
Yeah,
might have a chance of the wealth creation in the real estate industry and all of that stuff. So we have to start at some point looking at crypto and saying, okay, we have these resources. How do we put them in real, I'll call it real world projects, and projects that either A, are endeavors that we're interested in, or B, endeavors that could really change the world. And
yeah,
how do we use this funding mechanism for it? So, for example, if we're talking about food production. How can we get involved with these companies that are trying to advance this idea of climate control farming? How can we not only help them advance the technology, but how can we help them build stuff in like sub-Saharan Africa where
Yeah.
it's needed,
Yeah.
or outside of Los Angeles or outside of New York City where it's needed? I mean, there's a lot of areas where it's needed. So how can we do this stuff to do exactly what you're talking about? This push towards decentralization, localization, and not only do it in the digital world, but do it in the physical world and get stuff closer. You mentioned 3D printing. I mean, that's decentralized manufacturing at its best. And what you shared about your buddy, I can tell you in 2021, he
Hush,
could think
Chip.
about that. In 2016, he couldn't, because there was a lot of hype with 3D printing back then, 5, 6
Hush,
years
Chip.
ago. But the hype cycle bust because everybody realized, well, there were a lot of low end printers, there were a lot of high end printers for like $500,000, but there was nothing
No.
in between at like 20 grand that you could produce something
Come
legitimate
here.
with. But the technology improved over the years that now, I mean, for a very inexpensive printer,
Come here.
relatively speaking, I mean, the guy could create an airplane prop. I mean, the guy could create something for a wind turbine. I mean, the guy can create stuff, right in his home or his garage. And that's what we need more of. And I think cryptocurrency is going to be the funding mechanism for a lot of this stuff. So,
Yeah.
when people start saying, well, okay, I want to build a wind farm in West Texas. Okay, that makes sense. A lot of wind in West Texas. It's flat. It's a great place for it. How do I fund it? Well, you can turn to crypto for that and tokenize that project.
You could
I mean,
tokenize
that's
it. I've thought
yeah.
about doing like tokenized solar panels, like actually tokenizing like pieces of, or selling it by the watt or whatever, because even if you don't necessarily have to do it off grid, you can do it. I mean, actually, it's more efficient to be in a grid tie situations where you're not having to deal with batteries and stuff, and plus, you can offset any, like nighttime or well, the cool thing about like Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona and those kind of places is you got the wind to back it up, and you got some major winds that if you point them in the right direction, you can back up your solar panels. But you can sell like power by the watt from like NFTs or whatever, and that can help like fund the whole build of things to where like if you get into a mining project, so that way you're like, hey, Bitcoin is we're using alternative energies to mine Bitcoin. It's another example that you can put out there. That way you could calculate the electrical uses to go back into the company and build more, solar farms or wind farms.
Mhm.
And, because you could do that with NFTs and a combination of NFTs and a DAO. So, like, I work with a DAO company
Mhm.
called XDAO, and I have got one of the best products for DAO building that's out there on the market, in my opinion, right now, because you've got the whole DeFi aspect that they've gotten tied into to where you can actually invest in a lot of these DeFi farms. Like my Blocktunes DAO is, we're invested in the Cake to BNB farm and the BNB to BUSD farm there in Pancake Swap. And it's just earning, just as there and earns, it's just a farming, kind of situation. So what's cool with that is you could have a charity set up as a DAO, or like a non-profit can set up a
Mhm.
DAO, and they can. This is my mindset: is you can have like a non-profit set up as a DAO, and then um, basically people can buy NFTs or even just buy tokens to help support the support the whole non-profit, and then it just feeds into that farm, and then have that farm pay for all the stuff that you're doing. So, and then you can use like, I don't know if you've ever heard of, you keep talking about lending, but have you heard of like Venus protocol on Binance Smart Chain? It's kind of
No.
this, it's the same thing as Compound on Ethereum.
Mhm.
It's basically a
Okay.
lending platform. I actually use it as my own little credit line kind of thing.
Mhm.
So instead of selling my crypto, I will go and put it up for collateral and loan against it in Binance Dollar, and then
Mhm.
it's like 4 or 5. It ranges. As far as the interest rate that I got to pay back, it ranges up and down. But I've paid as low as 3% and as high as 8%. But if I take that and I use that to absorb some of my 24% credit cards, that can actually help somebody out down the line. And then you just pay back, with DeFi rewards and that kind of thing. But that's how people can use lending and DeFi protocols to be able to fund projects like
Mm-hmm.
nonprofits and things like that, which I think are going to be, that kind of decentralization is what's going to save the economy, in the long run. And we are just in that battle. It's like that old saying is, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. Yeah, we're in that fight you stage right now. Like, they know we're a threat to their traditional system.
Yeah,
And
and my view is, and you mentioned something with DAOs. I think DAOs have an incredible future if set up properly.
man, insanely. Yeah.
It's like a blockchain set up as a decentralized blockchain, which it really isn't. It goes back to the old adage on Hive. You can't sue Hive because there's no mailing address. Who are you going to send the subpoena to?
Yeah.
And so my view is if we can truly get these DAOs, which are decentralized autonomous organizations, so they run autonomously, so they're going to be pretty much digital in scale, but they can extend into different things like you talked about. Because really, when you talk about renewable energy, when you talk about 3D printing, you're talking about digitized technology ultimately. You're talking about technologically accelerating or technologically advancing manufacturing or the energy industries. And then you're talking about breaking it down at a local level, but you're also talking it's even though it's local in its production or use case,
Yeah.
it's global in its funding because somebody from anywhere in a DAO can go and buy 100 tokens and you know do that with USDC or whatever you take as payment,
Yeah.
and that could go help fund it. And you mentioned nonprofits, but even profits, because a DAO won't have to pay taxes because again, who does the tax man knock on? Sorry, we don't have an address. It's a DAO. It's who owns it? Well, these 95,000 people all over the world. So good luck finding all of them. And we don't know who it is. It's Hash King 4273. Then we got Purple People Pleaser, and I mean, who the hell owns this stuff? We don't know. But so then what you have is you have something that's truly decentralized, and for this to happen, we have to have decentralized platforms to offer this that is outside the reach of
Yeah.
the agencies. And I've been talking a little bit to the Speak guys with what they're building about some ideas with this. Um, but that's really the creme de la creme because now I can go buy 100 tokens in, some renewable energy DAO that I see you're out there promoting, and I trust you and you researched it, and there's a renewable energy DAO, and 100 tokens I can put in there, or $100 or $1,000 or whatever I put in there, and it's like if it works, okay, all of a sudden I can get a stream of income off of it. And
Yeah.
maybe, the thing doesn't come to fruition. There's a lot of pieces and parts, but if it does come to fruition, and of course you can pay people out of the DAO to run the operations, the people who are consistently doing the work or calling in people who have to, make for maintenance on the equipment or whatever. So, lease on the land, whatever expenses you have. So I think that's one of the biggest things is this change in business structure. The
Yeah.
corporation served us well in the 1800s when they were trying to get money for railroads from the aristocrats in Europe, who all they understood was land. And it's like, well, what do you mean I will buy a piece of a railroad in the United States? What the hell's that? So they created the corporation to
Yeah.
try to help alleviate that and really push, shares, and here's your stock certificate and you own a piece of this. Well, that, corporations obviously now have turned against us. So I think it's time for a replacement, and the DAO to me seems like the replacement from a business structure standpoint. So, that's where again I start to look at it. I have a theory based on observation, and if you've read my work, if you follow my videos, you've heard this before. But it's very simple. When the internet comes to your industry, and we saw it with information, we saw it with music, we saw it with video, we've seen it with long distance communication, we've seen it with shopping. Two things happen when the internet comes to your door. The first thing is whatever's there, for the most part, it gets obliterated. It's done. A few things adapt and stay, but most of it is gone. The second thing is it creates abundance. I mean, we got abundance of information. We got more music than we can listen to for in 10,000 lifetimes, more video than we could watch. Look at our communication systems. I mean, how's AT&T's long distance service doing these days? Probably not very good. We can communicate in video, audio from all over the world. And then shopping. I mean, you can shop in, from your sofa, you can shop in a million different stores just by going to different websites.
You can.
Uh, so we're seeing that now in the financial industry. We're seeing that in the banking industry. We're seeing that in the um, corporate, the business structure industry. And
Yeah.
ultimately, I believe we're going to see this in governance. We're going to see it in government. So, everybody's looking at the financial aspect of cryptocurrency. And it's like, well, it's cryptocurrency, it's financial, so the SEC's up in arms and Congress up in arms. And it's like, you're missing the whole fucking point here,
They're
people.
getting ready
This
to.
is gaming.
That
This
whole
is in
system's on the
every,
down. Yeah, man.
you
Like
know, it's like
DAOs can change governance. You could start up a little
how's
city. You could start up a city DAO, and then boom, guess what? You can like sell tokens to say, okay, you are a part owner of this town. What do
well,
you have to
and the
say
big
about it?
the big problem is, and I've written about this before, decentralized network states. And what we learned from Web 2.0 is you have uh, Tokyo, which has like 35 or 36 million people. You have China, which has like 1.4 billion people,
Yeah.
1.3 billion people. You have India, which is like 1.2, 1.3. So you add the two of them together at like 2.6 billion. That is smaller than the Facebook network. And so what we have is, in my view, we have a system of governance, the nation state, which I believe, I mean, will be dead, but by the end of this century, people will look on the nation state the same way we look back on the feudal system
Yeah.
of governance. It's so passe because more of our world is being digitized. That means networks are more important than where the hell you are geographically. This call taking place, okay, we're both in the United States, but one of us could have been in Bangladesh. As long as we have
No.
somewhat of a reliable network connection, communication does not have to depend on geography
Yep.
or infrastructure for that geography whatsoever. And with Starlink and whatever the hell Blue Origin's project's name is, and this internet satellite that people are talking about, you could be, as long as you got a clearing in the middle of a forest and a solar panel to power your laptop or your phone.
They
Um,
keep backing Starlink up here in my area. It sucks. I can't get signed up for it. I've got the. I had to go and get a AT&T prepaid mobile, but I can still get internet in certain places. But yeah, it's not as cool as Starlink. So
yeah, and so I
I
mean,
will
it'll
have
take
it
them a
when I
while.
can.
It'll take them a while to roll it out, but we can safely say within 5 years, internet satellite
Yeah.
probably will be more of the norm. But that's just how things are changing. And so when we look at what cryptocurrency and blockchain and all the innovation tied to it, it's not so much those technologies, and cryptocurrency is a technology, by the way,
Hmm.
but it's then the innovation off of it, the DAOs, and you start to see these different platforms, lending platforms, and then what's really been something I've fallen into is the collateralization aspect of things, and
Yeah.
how
Me
can we
too.
create pristine collateral where we got trust, where we have liquidity, where we have stability, and then we also can add in through what we're dealing with, transparency and inclusiveness.
Yeah.
And so, when we start to look at all this stuff, and I say, you know, I'm putting together stuff. How do we take down the whole banking system? And I'm not talking, the banking system that most of us know and we hear the financial media talk about. I'm talking about the international shadow banking,
Yeah. Like the
a
BIS,
system
and then
that
it works its
allowed,
way down.
and this isn't conspiracy stuff, this is just a system that they developed over 7 decades, which basically allowed the bankers to run the world.
Hmm.
And they can operate based upon the premise of making money just to make money. Well, what can we do in cryptocurrency? Anybody can make their own money. We can produce our own money. So, how do we start to take their system, which is in place in 70 years, outside the reach of any government, any central bank? Fed doesn't know what the hell's going on. Even the parts of it they monitor, they're only monitoring a small portion of it.
Yeah.
So how can we do that with cryptocurrency and all of a sudden have pristine collateral that rivals U.S. Treasuries? That's a hell of a lot better than mortgage-backed securities, which that was the private sector's attempt at pristine collateral, and that blew up in our face. So how can we do this? And I believe we can do this with blockchain. I
Yeah.
believe we can do this with, the ability to create this stuff. As long as we're dealing with decentralized stuff, it has a chance. And so, that's why when people talk about, well, government's going to outlaw, cryptocurrency, it's like, you don't even know the depths this is going to. Cryptocurrency is probably going to take out governments,
Yeah.
or at least the structures we build around cryptocurrency and blockchains. That's going to ultimately blow up governments and take them out of existence. Where,
Well, it's been
you
proven that
know,
they can't stop it. They can't. They can try, but we're smarter than they are.
well, I think they can stop. They actually can stop most everything with crypto because very little in crypto, in my opinion, actually fits into the original vision. I think Hive is one. I think
Well,
that's why I
Hive,
always talk.
Bitcoin, like your main decentralized structures,
I
yes.
think that's why
Yeah.
HBD I'm so optimistic about because it's like I read about all these regulations about for stable coins. I'm like, Hive laughs at you. HBD says hi. I mean, it's like, okay, what are you going to regulate it with? Who is going to have to register under the banking laws? Who's going
Well,
to have to fill out the application? The Hive
what's
blockchain?
what's great with Hive is that you can actually run a node on a fairly decent, system, at home, kind of thing. Like you have to have
We
some
got people
internet.
who do
Yeah, we
that.
got people that do it at home, and you don't have to have, you don't have to run it on a VPS, but if you do, my sole thing is to find places outside of the US to host your nodes and that kind of thing. So it's outside of their reach kind of situation.
Hmm.
Use node companies that, they can't touch if you
Yeah.
cannot run your own, machines yourself. But that was where, like, what was so great about Bitcoin back in the day, and then I, unfortunately at the time I missed out on. My buddy jumped in. He was mining for a long time kind of thing. It paid off for him. And, but like, this whole system that we've got going on here on Hive, it's like I had a buddy of mine that, like I say, he's running nodes for the Cosmos side of things, and they're basically turning into Cosmos Maxis at this point, but it is what it is, everybody's got their niche. There's some great things going on over there, but Hive is home for me, and I see that you can have DeFi protocols, you can do this, you can do that, but it's like, where do you spend most of your time? Cool, you're not going to sit there and stare at Cub Finance all day long. If you do, then you have no life, and I'm sorry, I really don't want to live your life if that's
Or,
all you
or you
do.
got a lot of cub and your shit's just changing every third second, and so you're sitting there watching it.
Well, if you're
My
going,
cub
woohoo,
account is
but
not quite that big, so it kind of just sits there and is
it's kind
static
of
for
like,
a
yeah,
while.
yeah,
And
right,
so it's like, okay, an hour later, no change. An hour later, no change. Okay, well, I just don't have enough cub.
yeah, well, I mean, but still, you're just watching a
Yeah,
number
you're
roll.
right. It's
So what we've got going on here on Hive is unlike anything else, in the fact that you've got the social finance aspect of things, and that is where things are really going. And if you listen to people like Raul Paul with Real Vision, he's really
mhm.
focused on that whole social finance, the community aspect of things. And I don't think that he knows about our protocol yet. If not, then we'd be
Or
talking
he
to him,
ignores it.
or he's ignoring it like everybody else, kind of thing. But you know what? That's okay. That's
I don't mind
okay.
being under the
I
radar.
don't
That's what we
mind.
built.
Do you want everybody on crypto Twitter on Hive? I don't.
No.
I
But
don't.
we're not. What we're seeing with HBD with this idea pushing it to 20%, everybody goes gaga over it, and I think it's a great idea, and I think it's great potential. But what does it do? It exposes like four other problems, and that's fine because now we'll address the four other problems. Number one being liquidity.
Yeah.
Hive is what we're doing is we're building, and so you know, we are scaling slowly. Well, we're in infrastructure. We're not scaling slowly because block trades is optimizing all the time.
Yeah.
The main infrastructure and the main code. But like you said, we're adding more nodes, and we're adding nodes in different places. And there's two or three people I've come across who are running nodes in their closet or underneath their desk.
Yep.
Then you got other people who are running nodes in, bumfuck country with some jackass, probably crooked web server company, but they don't care because they're outside the U.S. And if the U.S. tried came after them, they give them the big middle finger and
Hmm.
that type of thing. And so we want some nodes there. Maybe they're not even the most reliable, but who cares? At least it's backup. And with like 110 or whatever number of nodes that are running, yeah, we got the top 20, but it's on a rotation basis. And if you took out some of the top 20, well, there's other nodes to step in. And so that's where I think, in my vision of all of this, if you
It's
truly
like
are
a whack-a-mole.
decentralized, yeah, exactly, that's what it is. If you're truly decentralized at your base layer, then you take an approach of like the guys at Speak Network, or from what I understand, Block Trades is interested in building, and then you start looking at your layer twos, and you look at duplicating it by having a decentralized node system there,
Hmm.
and basically replicating it so anything that sits on that second layer is not open to attack because that's also okay, who are you going to attack to there? And so you just keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling out more nodes at different layers.
Yeah.
And if you have open source software like we do with iBlog and some of the other front ends, you know, say what you want about it. It doesn't matter about the functionality. The bottom line is um, it's open source. Anybody can take it. And so, like you
Yeah.
say in the whack a mole, take down Hive blog and you get Hive's blog or something opening up tomorrow. They just take the same thing, spin up a new URL, and just
Just
import the
copy it
data.
over. Yep.
So it's that's what we really need. And open source software is getting more and more prevalent. Ecency is something that the Speak Network guys are forking. There's a mobile front end that can be forked. So, these are important things when we're talking about. So, you invited me on about content creation.
We went down all kind of other rabbit trails. So it's
Yeah, we talked
okay.
about everything but content creation. But I
No,
think
we
this is
had
the,
some really good stuff before too. So, but it's
yeah,
all good.
I think this is very important, though, for people to
It is.
realize is that this ecosystem, I call it an organic complex system, which this drives people nuts because, and we've heard it for years. Well, why don't we have a coherent message that we market? Well, the reason you do that is you don't is because it's an organic complex system, and the best complex system I can come up with in terms of analogy is a field that turns into a forest.
Yeah.
And you just get a few things come through the ground, and it's not even noticeable. And the grass grows tall, and then you got a few things. Then you get saplings, and and over time these things grow and grow and grow, and then you get some bushes, and you get small
And then
animals,
you
and you
got
get
the whole like they die, and then it feeds the new growth, and you got
yeah,
fungus, and yeah,
and then you get the trees growing taller, and then the stuff down below
yep.
goes all different angles because it has to get to the sunlight, and then bushes that don't need sunlight are there, and then you have small rodents living in there and snakes and whatnot, and that's really what Hive is. So everybody talks about Hive being a social media platform and it certainly has that aspect to it, although my view is it's not a very good social media platform. That's why we need Project Blank. But it is a long form blogging platform. Unfortunately, that's not the majority of the internet. But there's all these other avenues. And so, what do we need? Yeah, we need DeFi, we need finance and HBD, and now some of the attention on that. That's very promising. We need commerce. We need people
Hmm.
selling stuff on Hive. We need people selling their services. We need people selling their wares.
That was why I created Hive
Yeah,
List was for people to come and advertise those services. As a
we
classifieds
need
platform.
gaming.
So
We need more gaming.
yeah.
GameFi. We need all of that.
GameFi is
So
huge, but Splinterlands can't be the only one. Right? We got Rising Star and stuff too, but that's a very niche market. I think CyberX is going to be the one that's going to break us into the fold
CyberX is interesting.
with the
Ragnarok is
with
interesting.
the first person shooter. I'm kind of tired of card games. Like,
Yeah.
I want to shoot something or I want to race. That's my thing.
Exode is interesting
You
with
would have a
their
40-year-old pro gamer if you came out with a solid crypto, racing game. You would, yeah, that'd be it. I'd be done. That's all I would do.
yeah. So, I mean, hopefully we'll get these holes filled in. But that's the cool thing. There's plenty of opportunity, and
So
you
much.
know, a lot of it comes from, and this is what I was talking with Ray. We talked about with Raven. She starts picking up. Okay, it's from a social media standpoint, but she's starting to pick up some of these other tools, like sending her stuff out on listeners and going with the I want to or I am to or whatever the hell the Instagram app is.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, you can tell me I don't use it. You know, hopefully we get Project Blank here by the end of the year, and that'll be, I think, a major home run. But see, what happens is if you start to understand these different facets, and you start to understand the DeFi, the NFTs, the GameFi, the social media, yourself as a business, you know, then you start to get into, and we start to simplify the infrastructure so you can get involved in second layer node operation without being too technical,
Yeah.
but you can help set it up, and you can run a node, you can pay for a node, you can get some rewards, and
I run
you
a
know you
Hive
can.
Engine node, and it takes $6.99 a month on the host that I'm using. It's really easy to set up. There's some really awesome guides. So if you want to help make that second layer more decentralized, they've got a whole witness structure there going on that too. But yeah, I mean, it's just Hive has got so many opportunities, and people can come in at any facet and help with that network like that, and but going back to the content creation thing, there's so many, I think there's something for everyone. There is a niche pretty much out there for everyone on Hive. And like you said, it doesn't always have to be long form. It doesn't always have to be videos. There is I mean, you got Project Blank that's coming out, and I know you're a Leo guy, but like I like D-Buzz. I'm going to be having those guys on in a couple of weeks too. And
Project Blank is not Leo. It's not going to be Project Blank will be a general use
yeah,
uh, front end. You'll be able to post whatever you want on there. Photographs.
yeah,
You can post a picture of your big toe. You can write up what you had for dinner. It's just like Twitter.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be finance. The advantage to Project Blank, from the way they're designing it, and the drawback to Dbuzz. I see two drawbacks to Dbuzz. First off, is anything you send out on Dbuzz is a top layer blog post.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows up in your feed, and more importantly, it shows up in your followers' feeds.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite frankly, I'm not a big fan of following all this stuff on Twitter. I mean, I'll skim through it and I'll use Twitter to market and stuff, but I'm not a big Twitter person. Um, and I understand people are, but you start getting that stuff mixed in with your blog post. If you're a serious content creator and a serious blogger and serious that just muddles the water. That's number one. Number two, they're dependent upon Hive for the incentive system, which of course we know the old guard really hates that. Project Blank's going to have its own token. And so, therefore,
I know some
the
things about D-Buzz, so.
yeah, I've heard they're coming out with their own token. I mean, I got blasted by one of the people in there because I went and left a comment in one of the Dbuzz blog posts. I said you need to make a token, and he said, well, you put it in another post later. Well, contrary to what Taskmaster thinks, we support Hive. I'm like, you guys are going head to head with the old guard. That's stupid. The old guard is still the old guard, and they
Yeah.
have a lot of power. So
And
you need to
they still think that everything needs to be a 2,000 word,
exactly.
essay and all this kind of stuff. But unfortunately,
Yeah,
that needs to
and that the
change. That really
curation
does need to
system
change.
and the curation system has to be where we are finding pristine content that's worthy of a Hollywood manuscript to be our front page.
Yeah.
Except when we want to upload our friends for putting up a link to a video. So I understand that, but you have to understand the environment you're operating within, and
And
that's
that's
why.
something that a lot of people are having a problem trying to come in and understand. You and I have been around this long enough to know that we know who to buck and who not to buck, kind of thing, and we know that what's kind of going, at least
Well,
in a
here's
lot
the
of
here's
ways.
the
But
answer to that.
new people
Don't give
don't
a
know
crap.
that. Yeah.
Don't give a crap and focus on your tribe because and the other problem with Dbuzz is since it's top line, you can only post once every 5 minutes. So you
Yeah,
you,
that
you
makes
can't
sense.
go back and forth. But at the end of the day, if somebody sets up a tribe that allows any type of content, and they have their own token. Um, okay, maybe some of the old guard downvotes that content if it's getting upvoted, too heavily in Hive. But people coming in, they're not going to give a shit about Hive. They're going to give a shit about the logical token,
Yeah.
because this is what I'm here for. I'm here for the logic coin. I do this stuff on the logical tribe, and so I put up my 10-word thing or whatever it is, and that gets rewarded. And I get, then it's up to, you know, whatever is acceptable for your community. So I think that's really where we have not had too many people who come in through an application who says, this is cool, I get rewarded in this token, because all of us were around before there was this layer 2 stuff. And
Yeah.
what was there in the early days, you got paid out in Hive and HBD. That's
Yeah.
it. We didn't have a layer 2, we didn't have Hive Engine, we didn't have any of these tribes. And so as those have evolved, ultimately the point is going to come where there's going to be people on Leo who are a lot more interested in the Leo token than they are in Hive. It's kind of reversing, like, I earn all this Leo. Oh, wow, look, I earned some Hive too. As opposed to, I earn all this Hive, and, oh, wow, I got a little Leo, or I got a little STEM, or I got a little of CTP, or I got a little of this.
Yeah.
It's going to reverse. And I think, that's what I see with listeners. A lot of those people are getting excited about the listeners that they have. They
Yeah.
don't really give a shit about the Hive they have. They're looking at the listeners and saying, I'm a whale in listeners. And, quite frankly, if they build that out, maybe that token will have value. Maybe they'll have a lot of use cases. Maybe it'll be being a whale in listeners down the road for those people may be a very good thing to be. And maybe they'll adopt at some point some proof of brain model or some. I mean, I don't know. They have that with the CTP token. So, but whatever they do with it, this is where you said that has to change. I think the mindset will change as people start to focus at the layer 2 and the apps and draw people in.
And that makes a lot of sense too. And I can't remember who I saw in a post somewhere, and they gave you a shout out for it. It was basically like, be a big fish in a small pond, kind of thing. Focus on being that bigger fish in the small pond. That was like when the whole, second layer stuff started coming out. I jumped in on Weed Cash pretty hard, and I became a big fish and eventually led myself into becoming one of the admins for the entire community, kind of thing. Like, I'm one of the 3 key holders.
And so now,
yeah,
weed is a pretty mainstream topic. There's a lot of weed fans out there.
Yep.
If Weed Cash, if that community reaches out and starts to pull in, let's say, 50,000 users, you're a big fish in a pretty big pond at that point.
Yeah.
Your pond got a lot bigger.
Exactly.
And exactly. So you took the initiative, you went in a direction to stand out. Now, the other thing is, guess who has a hell of a lot of incentive to try to help grow and make the Weed Cash community bigger? You.
Yeah.
Who has the incentive to talk to, hey, Stoner Bob, I see you over there. Why don't you come talk about your stuff on Weed Cash? Why don't you post your videos on 3Speak and link to Weed Cash? Use that tag. Our community will love it. Get involved. We'll reward you in some weed tokens. And that's the whole idea of these communities as I envision them, that I've thought for years that one of the best things somebody could do would be to set up a Laker community, or a Dallas Cowboy community, or a Real Madrid community, or a Boston Celtic community, because sports fans are rabid about their teams, and if you get that out there and you start becoming a legitimate blog,
I just think about John.
Yeah, John.
Buffalo Bills.
Fucking Buffalo Bills community. It's like, well, I'm talking about it. I'm like, no, you got to create a token. You got to get a website. And it's like, well, that's a lot of money.
Not a bad idea, man.
I understand, but
Lord, I'm from Alabama, dude. You start one up about Alabama and Auburn, dude. Oh, shit.
Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Florida.
Oh, shit.
You can do it for all your schools. UCLA, Oklahoma. And this just in the United States, you get these professional, what we call soccer, they call them football. You get in the EPL and all these other leagues. Those people are absolutely insane.
Yeah, man.
And, that's one thing that I think's missing. Another thing, as much as I don't like it and I don't discuss it, but another great thing would be to have politics. Get a right wing or a left wing political spectrum, a Republican token or a Democratic token or a conservative token or a
That's
liberal
what
token.
kills me about like all these different things that's been popping up, because you got all these conservatives that's been getting kicked off of Twitter and all these other liberal controlled platforms, YouTube, everything else, and they're going and starting these other centralized platforms that
Well, that's
basically
just
that.
it.
Yeah, they keep jumping to these like Gab, and which Gab I'm
Yeah,
going to say is doing their own thing. They have their own server structure. They're not built on AWS and that kind of thing, but they still ride those same terms and conditions. That
yeah,
all the other ones, they all have the same exact like copy and paste
yeah.
terms and conditions. So they can still censor you. That's what people don't understand about it. And it's like, oh well, but the crowd's not there. It's like, well, there's probably a reason that you got people that are still
I
tied into that. I just want something for nothing, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of in the crypto space lately. Has been that whole like I want something for nothing, and basically this whole like podcast that we've been talking about here. I mean, we've been talking is that where you got into the content creation part that I thought was awesome is that this is your job. This is your 9 to 5. This is not something that you can just put up a post and expect to earn a living on without work and working at it hard and trying to foster your niche, and just trying to better your content each time kind of thing. Learning from other people, going out there and actually putting in the work. I see so
showing
many
up each day,
showing up each
consistency.
day. It's not just staking a token and just earning. That's one thing I'm seeing in the whole Cosmos side of things is they've got the whole airdrop system going, and that's causing people to get this whole mindset that, oh, I can just hold something and I can get paid for nothing. Or in Hive, I see a lot of these just really weak spam posts. It's like, oh, just pay me tokens, for putting up a post.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't work that way. You really need to come in and put some effort into it to really build your name. 'Cause you didn't build your, reputation just by, posting garbage. You put in a ton of work. This is your all day, every day kind of thing. So it's really what I'm trying to get out to people is that you got to get out of that mindset that you can, just get something for nothing. Everybody that's out there that's creating all this is putting in a ton of time and a ton of work. All the, creators out there, I mean, video especially. Video takes a lot of time. I know with myself, some of these videos that I do will take, I'll take 10, 15 takes or more, if I screw something up, you know, pretty close to the way, of the beginning, which happens a lot, especially when I'm trying to get into my rhythm and my flow. I'll do 10, 15 takes. It can take an hour to do, to do a small 10-minute video, but people, because I don't like to do a bunch of editing, I'd rather just roll with it, but you got to get into that flow sometimes. So everybody's got to find their groove, find their niche, and then, it may not be like what you do. You talk about you have a grand scale in the economy because not everybody's got your experience, but people have got to find what they're good at,
But
and
I
then they
can't
can,
talk about the
everybody's got
business
something
side
to
of music.
teach. Yeah.
I mean, I can't talk about the business side of music. I know nothing about it. I'd
Yeah.
love to read it. I don't know the business side of the movie industry. I
Yeah.
mean, I'd love to read it. I think I mean, the business side of anything fascinates me. But,
You got to be willing to learn too, and that's the thing. Yeah.
well, I mean, I don't. I mean, I got a passing interest. If I
Yeah.
wanted to go learn the business side of music, I could, but I don't really have the inclination to. But it's not something that if I saw an article about it, I would read it
Yeah.
because I would say, hey, this is something interesting to me. And that was, going back to the discussion with Raven, and bless her, she understands hard work. She's
Yeah.
not averse to it. And I think what we have with Web3, what we call Web3, what we have forming with what we've been discussing here is this is a situation where if somebody puts in the work, they will get the reward.
Yeah.
Whereas under a lot of these older models, you put in the work, you're not necessarily guaranteed of getting the rewards.
Mm-mm.
And so I have a feeling if somebody like Raven spent 6 months focusing on writing about on Leo Finance, the business side of the music industry, what she's doing from a business perspective, her ideas, what she's tried, what worked, what didn't work. And if she did that, I have a feeling she'd have a pretty good following on Hive, a pretty good following on Leo Finance, and I have a feeling she would have a decent amount of Leo tokens,
Yeah.
and maybe a little bit of Hive too. And okay, it's 16 cents or whatever Leo's at right now. Okay, you may not get rich off of that, but if all of a sudden that thing 10x's, well, if she has 1,000 of them, that might be a decent sum of money to
Yeah.
her. Probably more than she's made in some of her musical ventures. So
Most people in the music industry don't make any money, and that's the thing. Like,
yeah,
I have made more posting through my Groove Logic account, posting my music up. Just I've made more in one post than I made on any of my streams coming from Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or anything like that in over a year. Just on one post, I made more, and it's like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? So I mean, that was what sparked the whole, like, okay, I've got all this experience in the music industry. How can I bring it into the blockchain? So that's where Blocktunes came into play. It's my last run. My last run at the music industry. So I'm trying to do it as big as I possibly can.
shit, you got a lot of time. Look, Mick Jagger's still in the music industry.
Dude, that
Paul
kid,
McCartney,
that dude's got a
they're both
4-year-old and he's 80. Like, what the hell? That dude's a beast. But yeah, it is what it is. But man, yeah,
well,
that's what's cool about this space is that I've built a business around the Logical Dude. Literally, I have the Logical Dude is an LLC, and so you can build a business. And you keep going back to that around
you are a
yourself.
business.
You are a business at this point. What you're putting out there is your product. You are getting paid on your product. Through the reward systems, and so it's how hard do you want to work at that? How hard do you want to work at that to succeed? For me, I'm all in. I mean, I've made the decision finally, especially at gas prices at $4.50 a gallon here. My delivery service is done. Basically at this point, I went out a couple of times last week, broke even, if that, kind of thing. Between paying for gas in this monster van, but it's the fact that you're putting wear and tear on your vehicle, and I wasn't even counting my time into that. So it was like I was at a loss. I was like, and there was a couple of days that was like, all right, I'm sitting here getting ready to go. There's nothing happening. I just said, screw it. I went offline and I went and I sat up and I started writing posts. And guess what? I made more on those posts than I would have if I would have sat there and driven, and all I did was just sit down and use my brain. Didn't use any other energy other than just me. I didn't have to go and pay for gas for that. I just sat down and started writing, and
And you look at that based upon today's prices, but you got a little bit of whatever you got, let's say some Hive. What if the price of Hive doubles? Well, all
yeah.
of a sudden, and your return is that much better. And,
Mm-hmm.
that's why holding a little bit of Hive, holding a little bit of whatever 4 or 5 tokens you're very optimistic about,
Mm-hmm.
I think is always a good idea because if you can get a decent sized stake in whatever those tokens are, if one of them does start flying, I mean, depending on where you are and who you are and what your levels are, that could be life changing money.
Yeah.
And that's what this opportunity is. I think anybody coming in looking for a few nickels and dimes is crazy. I think the goal everybody should have is life changing money. Now, that'll vary from person to person where you live. Life changing money in San Francisco might be $5 million. Life changing money in sub Saharan Africa could be, a couple $100.
It's all in
So,
your mindset. It's all in your mindset too, and what you want in life.
well,
If you're
if I can
after
jump in here,
materialistic shit, then yeah, you might need a whole bunch of money. But
well, if it also depends on where you are. I mean, Florida's relatively cheap. Oregon's relatively cheap, or always was. New York,
not
San
anymore.
Francisco, Chicago
You
are
got
not
all the Californians coming up here, freaking.
running the
Oh,
price of
dude. Oh,
everything.
all right, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
But you mentioned mindset. That's another problem we have on Hive. I think most people are in, and it's no surprise because this is what our education system is. They're in the worker bee mindset.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the ownership mindset, and you really have to take an ownership mindset. And yes, somebody like Raven, who is a freelance, creator her own music, she has that. But
Hmm.
most people don't, and it's like you have to adopt a mindset that if I have some tokens in Leo Finance or in Hive or in CTP or in whatever, I'm a part owner.
Hmm.
And like you said, we're all our own brand and building our own business. Now, maybe your business isn't in content creation. Maybe your business is running nodes. Oh, that's a business. You
It
start
is.
go
Hmm.
to Hive Engine and you set up a Hive Witness node, a Hive Engine node. You get in, go to Deluxe, set up a node there.
Part of how I
Maybe that's
live.
your business. What's that?
Part of how I pay the bills.
Yeah. So maybe your deal's running nodes. Maybe I mean maybe your deal is gaming, and maybe you have a fantastic knack for gaming, and so you're doing very well in Splinters. I mean I know stuff is down, but we know last summer there were a bunch of Splinterland millionaires running around.
It's still
That
like it's
probably
still
is going to take place again.
when I look at it though, and I look at the APR rates and that kind of thing with Splinterlands, it's still a better investment than real estate.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about leaky pipes and
No,
tenants destroying your
no,
place
it's
and not
still a
getting your
better.
rent.
I was talking with somebody that owns real estate and does, oh, but you can't leverage this. I was like, oh, yes, I can. I was like, I can loan against my crypto, buy a whole bunch of Splinterlands cards, rent
Well,
them out, and then pay back the loans and still have, more money on my cash on cash returns than you will on your, $200,000-$300,000 house that you are leveraged out your ass about. So there you go.
and he's right to probably a degree, but give us
Yeah.
time, give us a couple years, and we'll
That's,
be leveraging everything,
hey, yeah,
and
that's what
we'll
I'm
have the
saying.
platforms in place to leverage stuff, and so that's really where I think it all is.
Well, like I said, the platforms
Where
are already there. You just, people got to look out and, find those resources. Like I said, Venus Finance is there. You can go pile your crypto in, loan against it. I've been building DeFi stacks that way. I mean, unfortunately, I've had to cash in some of them, but, you can loan against it, build your DeFi stacks, use the rewards to pay back the loan. You still, especially if you're running something, that's 40, 50, 60% APR. I mean, heck, Splinterlands is running. People are like, oh, is it worth it now that it's only 25% APR? Well, what people don't realize is that higher APR is more instability, more risk. When you have a lower APR, that means your project's becoming stable. That's a good thing, when it's dropping down. So, I mean, well, the HBD thing's a whole different story. You've been talking about doing the whole bond structure and everything for a while, and I think that would actually may have been a different way to go about the HBD raise than versus just going through the savings. I think that would have been, because it, in your idea, that would have made people, lock it up for a longer period of time and that kind of thing. So when you get into these time locked, like with Hive power, I mean, it takes 13 weeks to power down everything that you try to power down. I use that as a perpetual, weekly paycheck. So, I mean, that's what paying my, I got a perpetual Hive power down, that I kind of keep running. That's what's paying my child support right now and kind of thing. So, and then I just keep trying to feed it with more content and more posts and, getting out there and commenting and that kind of thing. So it can be done. You just got to have the right mindset to get in there and do that. And you got to have, a good hard worker mindset. Like you said, it's from 8 to 9. For me, it's from the time, I mean, half the time I wake up in the middle of the night and I got, especially I'm running projects, I'm dealing with people on the other side of the world, different developers and different people and that kind of stuff all the time. It's like I'm getting woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting notifications on Discord and stuff all the time. It's an all the time thing for me. But the rewards that I'm getting for the fact that I get to live my life on my terms, how I want, do what I want to do, go where I want to go, and I can produce content anywhere I am. And actually, I can produce content around me going where I'm going, kind of thing. Like, that's magical, and you just got to think on that level, figure out what you love to do and monetize it. That was always, something that that was always the way of life I wanted to go, and I never found it with a corporation or with anything like that. Everybody was like, dude, my entire family, especially when I quit Apple, was May 2020, like right during all the pandemic stuff. They're like, dude, you're insane. And I'm like, you're not the ones getting your soul sucked out of your ears on a daily basis, you know? And it's like, it's all about quality of life. And that's what I've learned, especially the older that I'm getting, because I'm getting ready to turn 40 in, next month. You know, it's like, dude, your time is worth more than any asset. Your time is worth more than Bitcoin, worth more than any physical asset that you could ever possibly own. Because we all lose it every second. We're burning time. And it's like, you know, your health is all part of it. You know, I'm trying to get healthy again. You know, it's like after I get done with this and posting this video, I'm going to the gym, you know, kind of thing. So people have to take everything and which, hey, guess what? You can monetize with ActiveFit on Hive. Haha. And they even have DeFi stuff that you can, you know, start to DeFi your ActiveFit
They're
tokens
starting to
and
build
everything.
their platform out, and
That's how I'm trying to get my ex into Hive, because she's on this whole health focus and everything. She's in her mid 40s at this point, so she's trying to, you know, she's killing it. She got a personal trainer, is like, you know, falling down that fitness hole, and I'm like, well, check out ActiveFit. You know, so here's your niche. You know, you can track your stuff and you can post about it and earn some money. You know, and you know, Hive has so many options. My daughter, she's wanting to get into the whole like horror. She's into the whole horror thing. You know, watching horror movies all the time, and she's like watching all the classics. But what was funny is that she's been writing reviews in a notebook. I'm like, dude, check out Senna TV blog. You know, it's like she's got a Hive account she doesn't use. She's got Splinterlands assets that I actually compound for her all the time. Neither one of my kids touch the stuff. It's weird. I don't understand. Like, you know, it's like, come on in. Like, everything you do is here. You can actually make money on it and not have to go to work at Arby's. So,
Yeah.
you know, but hey, they'll learn. You know, unfortunately, my kids are still, you know, they were stuck in that system for a while, and you know, we were all brainwashed, you know, for a while, and we're all trying to come out of it, you know, but we're all starting to learn, you know, especially the last 2 years has taught everybody so much about the lie, and I'm done perpetuating the lie anymore. Like, I'm done with it. So.
I said a few years ago, many years ago, everybody's going to be in crypto sooner or later.
Yep.
Just for most, it's going to be later, and we're still not to later yet for most people. It's still going to be later because, like you said, we can talk about this shit till we're blue in the face. We can live it. We can say, hey, look at my freaking wallet. Look at, I haven't had a job in 18 months. I haven't had this. I haven't had that. You know, I got let go. My company decided they would be better off without me in June of 2019, after 21 years, almost 20 years. And like, I talked for a while with people I was still working with. Well, what are you doing now? I'm just doing crypto. You gonna go get a job? No. I have a buddy who's 3 years later says, you gonna go back and get a job? No. Don't need one.
Yeah, it's like, you know, even though I'm struggling right now.
Socked away that I don't need, you know, I got USD socked away, so I haven't started tapping into my crypto. I still haven't, you know, I haven't used block trades in reverse yet, so I hope
there you go. Well, that's good.
But, you know, at some point I'll have to, in the next year or so, have to start dipping into my crypto, but that's where, you know, all these years of building give me enough of a foundation that, you know, and I'll probably start to sell stuff off first, like Uniswap, or, you know, I got not a fair bit, but I got a little bit of Ethereum. So if that goes to like 10 grand a piece, what's it at, like 3 now? So, you know, a major bull run in Ethereum would get it up to 10 grand. I mean, that'll give me, you know, a couple years living expense. I got enough of that where I could do that. I mean, it's just I'm not quite at the level you're at, but my threshold, the nut that I have to meet each month isn't really that high. I mean, I got a letter from my landlord. My rent goes up $100. And it pissed me off, but there was no fear. You know, I hope that. I hope you understand that. I mean, it just pissed me off because it just pissed me off if she's going to raise it $50. But there's no fear. But in the past, it's like when I had a job, it's like, oh shit, my rent went up $100. How can I afford this? Because it's like, you know. And now it's like, well, okay, that's, you know, just putting forth a little more effort and, like you said, find a little better ROI. I mean, hell, I'll call what I have in HBD and savings. What I get paid each month now with the increase to 20% will make up for more than what my rent increase was
No,
if
there you go.
I had to go that route. Won't cover my rent, but it'll cover the increase.
Yeah, that works, and you got to find it where you can get it, and like in my lifestyle, obviously I don't do the rent thing, but hey, gas, internet, those are expensive fees, man, and I still have like child support and stuff like that, so I got like 1 year left of that with my daughter. um,
I
you
got
know,
out of that. My daughter's now 20, almost
yeah,
28. So I
so
got 10 years ago. I was in that boat, and
one day I'll be when that happens, and that's like right around the same time too that one of my big Irma loans that I had to take out is going to be paid off, and so that'll be magical. But yeah, I mean, what people like, and I got into a comment conversation on Hive with somebody on one of their posts is like a lot of people think that you have to have Lambo money to be full time in crypto. I don't have Lambo money at all. I have like
you, you,
Pinto
you,
money,
you,
but
you need Lambo money if you have Lambo expenses.
exactly,
But if you
it's all in your lifestyle. And like my thing is
absolutely,
that, I'm full time in crypto, not because I've got a grand amount of money. It's because I'm putting in that work and that is my income. I'm making that
well, and
versus
because you don't
dollars.
have a
And
grand living
yeah,
a lifestyle. I mean,
I'm a minimalist, and thanks to
if you
Irma that
wanted to
happened.
live in downtown Manhattan, you probably would not be, or downtown San Francisco, you would not be living full time crypto because
No.
it's just yeah, it's it all comes down to now. I understand people who have young kids and families and stuff. Okay,
Oh, I couldn't do
they're
that when my
perhaps
kids were younger. Yeah, no
yeah,
way.
they're perhaps in a different situation, but I'm 52 years old. I live alone. My daughter's grown and on her own. Um, so, I have the ability. I don't have debt. I don't have a car payment. I don't have, credit card debt. So, I did go through that. I mean, there was a time, I totally fucked up in my 20s and I spent a good portion of my 30s paying that stuff off.
Yeah.
But, it's like, yeah, if you push your, I mean, I don't go eat out all the time and spend, $30 on dinner and crap like that, takeout and whatnot. Yeah, if your expenses are kept down, um, you can start doing it, and
Hmm.
that's always been the age old adage. I mean, what is the ROI on a dollar saved? It's incalculable. You can't
Yeah.
calculate.
Yeah.
But if I'm trying to get a little better ROI to make a few extra bucks, well, if I don't spend the bucks to begin with, I'm way ahead of the game.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's what I think people, especially in the West, in the developed countries, we're here with all the advertising and marketing, and unless you got the fancy
Yep.
car, big house, and all this other shit, you're nothing. And I had a buddy who, when he retired from his job, his boss, the president of the company, was significantly younger. The guy makes like 250 or 300 grand a year, which in my counties, that's real good cash. Not real great cash down in Miami, but
Yeah.
in where I live, it's great cash. And he sold his house and he bought another house. He got to the point where he had bought a boat, he had two cars, he upscaled his house, not downscaled, upscaled his house. And if he ever lost his job, he was fucked. I mean, he wasn't because his wife came from money, so he had that insurance policy. But the point is, with the money he made, even making 250 or 300 grand in this county, he would have been screwed. His whole house of cards would have collapsed
Yep.
because he was stretched to the limit. He
Yep.
couldn't fit another payment in there. I mean, he ended up building like a $450,000 house, and this was right after the financial collapse. So he's done phenomenal since then because real estate's gone through the roof. But the point was, if things collapse, if he lost his jobs, I mean, he would have been in trouble. And
Yeah. For
it's
sure.
just what type of plates do you have spinning, and how many do you have spinning? I got very few that can fall and break, and so
Yep.
um, it that's part of the opportunity where it allows you the time to come in. But I think with Hive, there's so much being created in this recent HBD 20%, perhaps
Yeah.
this
It's killer.
PHBD by Leo Finance, and Polycub is going to be another option. Speak Network is doing a lot of things. Ragnarok, I know there's an airdrop on 420. I don't even understand anything about that game, but what the hell? I'll take the airdrop.
Yeah.
See what
I was
I
trying to
can.
get something out of Dan the other day. He's kind of talking a little bit about it, but he kind of kept referring to the previous posts and stuff that they've written on it. But I was trying to get some alpha. Couldn't get a whole lot.
But I mean, Dan and Starkers are building a lot of cool stuff, and
They
there's
are,
going to be
man.
a ton of opportunities there. And I
I
did a
love
video
talking
the
to him.
other
That was awesome.
I did a video the other day, yesterday, no, 2 days ago. It was my 1500th three speak video,
Oh
and
wow.
I wrote three speak videos 1500, YouTube 0. I've never uploaded a video to YouTube,
That's awesome.
and and I have a feeling, I don't know for certain, but I have a feeling they are going to implement a proof of brain token into three speak, and I would imagine they're probably, and I'm just talking off my top of my bald head. I don't know, have any insight. But I imagine those who have been using three speak, they're probably going to do an airdrop to those heavy users of three speak.
Yeah.
Just the way they are. They've never said anything. I don't know anything. But, and even if they don't, that's fine. I still use three speak. But just for doing what I'm doing and the rewards I'm getting, you mentioned on Cosmos the airdrop. Well, here's an airdrop for stuff I've done in the past that I
Yeah.
was just doing anyway, and potentially maybe I'll get an airdrop. Maybe I won't, and if I don't, I don't. But if all of a sudden they do an airdrop and they say, "Listen, Task, you've been using three speak. You're one of our video creator. Use the platform a lot. We'll give you 1,000 of these tokens or whatever."
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Just come and get involved. That's what it's all about.
At the end of the day, that's what it is. Come get
Just come
involved.
get
And
involved.
it seems like, I don't know, maybe it's me, but that's a very hard sales pitch. You can't get
It
your kids to
is.
do it.
I know. It's so hard.
I mean, come get involved. It's like no pressure selling, and we can't get people to do it.
Well, it's like my thing is like, all right, and when people are like, oh, well, what is that? I was like, well, all right, so let me break it down to you in the simplest form that I can. What you do on Facebook every day, I do on Hive, and I get paid for it. It's like, it's pretty
On
much
both
it.
platforms, on both platforms, people are paid for what you do. Difference is on Facebook, Zuckerberg and Wall Street get paid. On Hive, you get paid. I mean,
Exactly. Yep. And
you
it's
know,
like,
on
if you
Hive,
feel
we
like
are
being
not.
lazy, guess what? You can put your stake over to like Leo voter and make 16%. That's what I do in a lot of cases. So,
Well, and here's another thing. They just, all those ad revenues that you have to, or all those ads you have to put up with on Leo Finance, we are now, because of the change in the Leo ad model, they are going to take what they're paid in ad revenue, which is about $4,000 a month. They get paid in BTC. They're going to swap it out and buy Leo and use their little algorithm that they create, their little script, and they're going to distribute that Leo as Leo power. They'll power it up and distribute it as
nice.
Leo power to those who are holding Leo as Leo power. So now that's the it's not really a DAO, but that's that mindset we were talking about of
Yeah.
Web3, where, okay, ad revenue is still a Web2 model. Yes, there's still ads. Yes, they're still generating revenue, but it's not for the, I mean, it is for the platform, but who owns the platform? The stakeholders, the Leo power holders. So now your ROI for just holding Leo power, that, well, you delegate high power to get the Leo, but you take that Leo, if you stake it, now you're going to get another ROI on top of it. Maybe it's only 3-4%. Maybe it goes up to 10%. Maybe we 10x the ad revenue and you get 40%. I mean, who the
Yeah.
hell knows?
Yeah.
So that's where
There's-
getting in early is of great benefit. Just show up.
Just show up. Yeah.
Get busy. Start doing something. And even if you're going down a path and you find this isn't working, well, try something else. Go to a different community. Go to a different tribe. Post on a different front end. What interests you?
Yeah.
Okay, your main interest isn't being well received. Okay, try your second interest.
That's why I have different accounts. So like, a lot of people I've seen, and I know you got like the Leo account and then your main Taskmaster account as well that I'll see you post
Yeah.
under. But like, I wanted to go a different route. I did like I've got the CoinLogic account. I've got BlockTunes. I've got Groove Logic. I've got Hive List. I've got Hive Hustlers. So I've got, and then I post about different things under different things. It's like I'm trying to, like the logical dude, obviously people are knowing me as, for building these projects. So I do a lot of my project announcements under that account. And then I talk about just van life and just stuff like that at this point. That's what the Logical Dude's about. And then, but like my music posts, that's all Groove Logic. And, so now this is all my crypto talk through Coin Logic and that kind of thing. And, Hive Hustlers, that's always been about entrepreneurial stuff. And, I actually, inherited that account or, absorbed that account. But I've turned it into a whole other beast because now I've got the Hive Commerce token that, my work, I'm paying out 50% of my Hive Engine rewards for 6 different tokens to the community, for holding the COM token, kind of thing. Just, come and support. That helps, build, delegation behind that account. So people can build an entire business around a brand, around an idea, and it's just finding that niche and idea like you talked about. You can start up one account, but don't let that be the end all. If you feel like you want to start writing about something else and you want to start another brand, start another account, start writing again, start writing under that. It's just the whole showing up and getting involved. And I think that's where you and I have been preaching for a while now. I know we talked about that on the last Cryptomaniacs podcast that I was on. It's just, and I think it just needs to be something that keeps getting driven home is just get out there and get involved. Start commenting. Just
start leaving comments.
If just start commenting.
Content creator, just start leaving comments. And,
you never know what that's going to inspire,
Exactly. And, stepping back and taking it from a Hive level, but I guess it applies to an individual too. We're still on Hive looking for that first major breakthrough.
Yeah.
Will it be HBD at 20%? Will we get a UST type response? Maybe, maybe not. Will it be Speak Network? Will it be Project Blank? Will it be this Instagram clone that I can't even remember?
Like I believe is what it is.
Like to, whatever.
I think. I think it's LIKETU if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Something like that.
So, is it something like that? Is it something that we're not talking about? Is it, some type of thing that Splinterlands is doing that just pushes that to another level? Is it one of these other games you've talked about, CyberX? They have obviously grand plans. We'll see what they actually pull off, but it seems that so far for the first few months of this year, they're following their strategy. I don't know what the thing that breaks through, but once we get the first one, and what's really incredible is we might get 2, 3, 4 of them happening in sequence. I mean, it may be one goes, then we get another, then another, then another, and that's all a part of building.
Yeah. It's just, and then the fact that, they can build communities around like each of these games. You look at what Splinterlands has with Splinter Talk, so you can go and learn the Splinterlands token, which you stake that. Guess what? You're getting the SPS airdrop and that kind of thing. So there's all kind of benefits around all this. And I mean, dude, I know we could go on and on and on about, the different things here. And I think that at this point, it's just getting out the word. And that's why I still post a lot of this on YouTube. And, I get out on some of these mainstream Web 2 medias is to show people what we are building over here. We're building an entire economy over here. And it's
Absolutely.
Just, unlike any other blockchain that I've seen, even, a lot of these other ecosystems that I'm involved with, like Binance Smart Chain and Polygon here and there. And, now the Cosmos ecosystem, I still don't see the same things that we've got over here. Like Hive has got everything that generally any average everyday person does online on a daily basis. It's all here on the blockchain, on Hive, either between Hive as a base layer or on these second layer solutions that we're coming
and more
out
being
with.
built.
And more are coming out and being built. You got Deluxe, you got the Speak stuff, which is also tying into Deluxe. It's not just the Hive engine stuff, and then I guess you got Block Trades with their DHive stuff that they're working on and everything. It's just, and now there's somebody came out with a thing called Super Hive, and
really,
so,
what's that? I haven't heard of that.
It's basically where you can kind of create your own little Hive app kind of thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty basic from what I've seen, but it's something that's out there. I mean, you got the EXXP tool to where you can turn any WordPress site into a Hive front end because you have commenting that you can go and sign in with Hive Signer and comment right there through that front end page, kind of thing. So,
We got the half coming out.
Yeah. What? I'm
Should
sorry.
help half, which
Oh yeah,
Hive
yeah, yeah.
application framework, which should help with development.
Yeah, that'll help with sign in and development. And I think the one big thing though is that we just need to address that onboarding situation. I know that there are some platforms that are doing the Hive Lite accounts, even with Leo and stuff like that. They're doing the Hive Lite accounts. You know,
It's a problem.
it's a problem, and I feel like that onboarding needs to get fixed. That's one of the biggest barriers to entry at this point. But at the same time, you know, I kind of like in that you know, only people that can figure that out are coming in. Yeah, I do want the mainstream thing happen, but I do kind of like, you know, I do like the fact that the mainstream's not here. You know, leave some of the idiots on Twitter and Facebook. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, it is a double-edged sword. If
it's
we
a
get,
double-edged sword. Yeah,
20 million people, it's like
because the
it's
rewards
no
have to get
longer
spread
home.
out. Well, and then the rewards have to get spread out between everybody that's trying to post
Well,
and
at that
everything
point in
too.
time,
So
people are focusing on the tribes. So yes, the
yeah,
base layer rewards will spread out, but that won't be the focus for most people. They'll
true,
be,
very true.
what tribe tokens am I getting? Which ultimately that's where I think it is, and you want those people then to learn about the Hive token and the governance and some of the other things, and that gets pushed up because there's people using it for resource credits, and that's another thing. Hive is gas, and
Hmm.
Hive power, I should say, is
Yeah,
gas, and that's something that's overlooked.
it really
When
is.
you look at the future potential of Hive, it's like, well, the Hive token's not doing anything. Yeah, but it's gas. So if there is something that breaks through, people are going to need the tokens because they're going to need the resource
Yeah, I
credit.
mean, you look at what happens with Ethereum and the kind of gas fees that are going on with that. Well, Hive, as long as you've got that staked, you've got those resource credits, but you don't want those resource credits to be too expensive that the average person can't come in and afford to actually use the platform. You know, that's where all these like, oh, Hive to 100. No, no, you're missing the whole point of that. You know, it doesn't necessarily need to go to $100 because then somebody out there in Africa is not going to be able to afford to come and jump on and start using the platform. You know, for cheap or next to nothing, you know, kind of thing. So I mean, I like Hive kind of where it's at. You know, I do like, you know, rises and
I
falls,
think
but
the witnesses have the ability to adjust that. So
yeah,
that's one thing they could reduce both the cost of the account and both the cost per for
the
resource
resource
credit.
credits. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But yeah,
And the
that's the
resource
only
credit.
thing I've seen a problem with. You know, the people like, oh yeah, we want Hive to, you know, this and that, and I'm like, well, that'll start excluding people from the network, like they've done with Ethereum. I've been completely excluded from that network because I refuse to pay those fees, you know, to use the network. That's why I use other things like Binance Smart Chain and Polygon, and you know, in Hive in a lot of cases. But you know, and what's cool about Hive is that you can cross bridge between a lot of those, like really super simple. You know, using like tribal decks and stuff like that. So you know, it's a whole thing. But I think really the biggest thing, and there's so much wisdom in these last 2 hours that we've been talking about. It's unreal. I'm really excited to just kind of listen to the playback of it. But I think really the biggest takeaways is like, you know, just it's gonna take time. It's gonna take effort, and don't give up on yourself. And the more effort that you put into yourself is what you're going to end up getting out of it. You can build a business around you and around what you want to do instead of going to work for somebody else. You know, yes, you are probably going to still have to have a regular job, you know, as you get started. I wrote a Hive Hustlers post about this yesterday, you know, and it's like you can't give up your main gig until you know that this one's going to be able to stabilize you, you know. I've been working my butt off in the last few years to the point where I'm scraping by, but this is my gig, you know. And like you said, hey, you know, and it's only going to build. I haven't been in the game as long as you have, you know, that kind of thing. And you've built that massive following because you speak what you know and you speak it really well and you know how to break it down to people. And I believe, you know, once people realize what their stick is and that they've got something to be able to teach and offer the world, they just may not realize it. You know, people are good at something. You know, everybody's good at something. Everybody's got something to teach, and I think that that's where people can shine. You know, so
Well, and I think there's a lot of niches that Hive has not touched upon. Like, and I'll keep going back to the business of music. And broad scale, that's a niche. Obviously, it's a huge market. I mean,
yeah,
music is huge, and there's a huge business side. So if you have people like Raven talking about that and
A little small technical difficulty here. That's because the two of us were jabbering on for a long time, and my computer said that's enough. So we're going to take this time to close it out, guys. Taskmaster4450, thank you so much for coming on today, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Ton of wisdom in these last couple of hours. We're going to have to do it again, man. This is great.
Anytime. Just let me know when you want me on. I'll show up.
Right on, man. Yeah, you just keep doing what you're doing, keep inspiring people, and I'm going to try to do the same. And we're just going to, let's build this thing up, man. We're going to do it. Again, I thank you for coming on. This has been Creators Week here on CoinLogic TV, guys. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Be cool, be real, always abide. Don't get wrecked out there in those crazy markets. Because, you know, it's not for everybody. But just be safe. Hedge your risk.
Ciao.
Peace out, guys.